Be sure to join Coach Rob along with Alex Deitz each week on the Take It to the House podcast, posted each week on the Drew Robison YouTube channel.
Hey, welcome back to the Coach Rob Show. We are talking about college playoffs. That's kind of the biggest thing that's going on in sports right now. But one of the things I wanted to mention in this segment, I kind of led into it before the break, but there is a really important life lesson that has meant a lot to me, probably because I think as a younger man, as a kid, I think, and still, it's not that like I've conquered this thing, but really working on your ability to focus on things that you can control. And the part of what goes with that is the ability to ignore and sort of put up on a mental shelf the things that you cannot control. Great example of that. I was in my first head coaching job, probably 20, not quite 20, maybe something like 15 years ago. And one of the things that really struck me after a game that we lost were some bad calls. There were some bad calls, and it was sort of the custom to have a little group chat, on the field after the game, and the parents would kind of come out, and you'd have 100 or so people sort of on the field under the lights, just kind of talking about the game and so forth. And before we started the post game talk and kind of told the other team good game and whatever, a lot of the parents were really upset, and they had come up to me and told me how bad the refs were and all this stuff we needed to do. And I think maybe even an administrator at the school and came up to me and said, if we need to file a complaint or something like that to the officials. And it was a emotional loss, because we'd gone through a culture change where we really had a kind of a bad program that was losing games to starting to win games, and we were starting to get competitive, and so the expectations were getting better, the culture was growing, and it was turning into a winning program. So there was a lot more pressure to win, there was a lot more emphasis on outcomes and making sure that our success was measured and was there. And losing a game was tough, but it just occurred to me in that moment that, and I was upset with the refs calls. There were some bad refs calls. I don't even remember now exactly what they were, but the thing that I felt like I needed to say at that time to our team and to our parents as well was that we needed to stop the complaining about the officials. We just needed to stop it, because there's nothing that you can do to change the outcome of a game that was just finished. Yeah, there may have been some conversations about, checking some calls and making sure that officials are held accountable if they missed some calls, which they did. I don't remember if there was any action taken, but what was ours to do, the thing that we had to own in that moment, was that there were many opportunities to be successful in that game that we botched. We had mistakes in the game that didn't need to happen, that put us in a position to lose. We still could have overcome those bad calls if we had done everything in our control properly and eliminated the mistakes. And so I just felt like we needed to focus on that. Well, fast forward to years later, and even this year to the college football season, and one of the biggest things that has kind of sort of hovered around the Auburn program this year is they've had some bad officiating. There were some really questionable calls in the Oklahoma game. There were some really botched officiating, and I watched the whole thing, and it was terrible. Refs actually got suspended after it. Maybe it was the white hat, the head official of that game, but the last minute or 90 seconds of the first half of the Auburn-Georgia game, it was just pathetic. It was really, really bad. But up to that point, Auburn was a heavy underdog, and they dominated Georgia. dominated Georgia in the first half, just physically ran the ball. Defense was tough, just looked really, really good. And they botched the end of the first half, gave Georgia a little bit of life. I think Auburn was up 10-0 most of the first half, and then Georgia ended up getting a field goal, or maybe they made it 10-7. I don't remember. But I think Auburn was still leading at halftime, and Auburn just came out in the second half and laid an egg. They just looked like a different team. And to me, in that moment, and Hugh Freeze was still there, to me in that moment, it just occurred to me that there is no way that Hugh Freeze went into that locker room and said, I need everybody to look me in the eye right now. You need to understand this really quick, and you need to understand it at this moment, and it needs to start this moment. Stop thinking about the end of that first half. Just stop thinking about it. I don't care if the refs were bad. I don't care what is in your brain about how much we got ripped off and how much we got gypped. But if you sink yourself into a mindset of victimhood, you cripple your ability to excel from this moment forward, in the future, in the present, and in the future. And if Hugh Freeze had done that, and if he had had the buy-in, if he had communicated that, said, you guys just dominated arguably the best team in the country for 22 and a half minutes. Guess what? Or whatever, 28 minutes. You need to get back out there in the second half, and you need to keep playing the way you're playing, and you're going to come out of this game on the winning side, and you're not even going to worry about the end of that first half anymore. But Auburn didn't do that, and I can't believe that Hugh Freeze did that. And because they just came out like a whipped puppy in the second half. You could see the body language. You could see the self-pity. And what is so important in life to realize is it doesn't matter if you're right. It doesn't matter if you are correct, and if you went to court, if justice was against you and something happened that was unjust or wrong. It doesn't matter what the truth is if it's in the past, unless you're learning from it. But when you subject yourself to it, and when you take on the identity of a victim, you cripple yourself moving forward, as opposed to just saying, hey, you know what? That sucked. Ted Lasso, have a memory of a goldfish. Let's move on. Let's move on. So, there's the Rocky quote at the intro to the show that I put in there for that exact reason, because his son was whining about being in his dad's shadow. And Rocky just told him, you're better than that. Stop looking for somebody to blame for your situation and overcome it. Get up and move forward. Life will beat you to your knees. Just expect it. So when life does beat you to your knees, you're not looking around going, well, this stinks. This isn't fair. This isn't right. Yeah, maybe it does stink, but move on. Get over it. Everybody gets beat to their knees over something. Everybody does at some point. It happens to all of us. So that lesson was a missed opportunity for the Auburn Tigers in that game. And Hugh Freeze is without a job now, ultimately because of his inability to lead that team. So anyway, missed opportunity there. One more break. We've got to come back, talk a little bit about Lane Kiffin, a little bit of the coaching carousel, particularly in the SEC. Look what's going on with Penn State. It's kind of weird. We'll be right back here on The Coach Rob Show.